If you get pain or stiffness after walking long distances, chances are that you're missing this really important key ingredient of good gait mechanics. Many people, when they walk with very limited arm swing. And so what happens is their trunk and their pelvis becomes very rigid and unable to dissociate from each other. You see, optimal gait has the ability for the body to dissociate from side to side and be able to go into opposite joint actions as we transition from side to side. What that means is, as I take a step forward with, let's say, my left leg, my right arm comes forward, my sternum and pelvis turn to the left side, and then I move into more external rotation on this left side. And that means I'm going to be in relatively more internal rotation on the other side of my body. And we need to be able to dissociate from side to side. So left arm forward, right arm forward. Left arm forward, right leg forward. And in order to be able to do this, we need to have the rib cage be able to go into internal rotation on one side, external rotation on the other as we turn to that side. And in the pelvis, we need to be able to have internal rotation on one side and external rotation on the other side. People that have rigidity and a lot of stiffness oftentimes orient their entire pelvis and rib cage from side to side. And then you have sort of this waddling gait, or you have gait where you don't see a lot of arm swing because they're unable to dissociate. When someone is missing what we call relative motions at their pelvis and their rib cage, they often just turn the whole structure as one unit. And this leads to rigidity and stiffness over time. I don't like to make recommendations for people thinking about the way that they walk, because we want the body to be able to self-organize around the movement options and ranges of motion that it has, so that it can set you up to unconsciously have competence and also great gait mechanics and fluid gait mechanics. The body is not stupid, and it's doing what it's doing for a reason. So if you have this very stiff and waddling gait, then you probably are missing the ability to dissociate from side to side. One of the best tools I use on a consistent basis in my gym is to get people to get their arms to swing more within gait. Because a lot of people focus on the lower body to improve their gait mechanics and how they feel when they walk or when they run. But actually, the rib cage is a massively important and influential factor on that. If your rib cage isn't mobile, then you're not going to be able to get full arm swing. And if you're missing arm swing, then you're going to have shortened stride length, which means that as I push off of one side, let's say my right leg, my left arm needs to come forward as I push myself to the other side. That will help load me onto my right leg optimally. Let's break that down. So if I take a step forward with that left side, my arm needs to come forward, my right arm needs to come back, and that'll help me push myself to the other side. But people that have this short stride length and stiff rib cages and hips oftentimes have gait that looks like this. So in order for me to fully propel off one side, I need to have my arm come forward. I see a direct correlation between people who can't get full arm swing and people that are missing hip extension. And in the first part of this video series, when I talked about the #1 problem I see, it was that people have early knee extension. So they come forward, they can't extend their hip, maybe because they can't swing their arm, so their knee locks out too early, and then the only thing they have to get that hip extension is to push their low back forward in space. Because this problem is so common, one of the first things I majorly prioritize within my beginner body restoration program is the ability for us to dissociate our rib cages from side to side and be able to expand one side, compress the other, move into internal and external rotation. So there are a lot of tools within that program, if you want to check that out, that can help. But here's one exercise I absolutely love and get great results with, improving arm swing and dissociation between sides of the body, which will help unlock fluid hips as well. This is the short kneeling alternating reciprocal crossovers from Postural Restoration Institute. To start, we're going to get in this position right here with the toes down, and we're going to rock the hips back onto the heels. Now we're going to set the ribs in a good position. So staying tall, we're just going to exhale through our mouth, nice and full, and at the end of that exhale, we're going to feel our ribs come down, and we're going to feel our side abs engage. We're going to maintain this position. Now, we should have a very slight tilt of the pelvis, so it's nice and neutral. And what we're going to do is reach back with one arm, the side we're going to be rotating towards, and forward with the other, just a little bit. Just enough to feel the side abs very subtly on the side we're rotating towards. That'll be the right side in this instance. Now what we're going to do is nice and long exhale, softly open mouth, and we're gonna reach forward with this forward arm right here, just about 1 to 2 inches. We're gonna close our mouth, inhale through our nose, and reach back subtly, just 1 to 2 inches with this back arm right here. So over time, keeping our head straight ahead as much as we realistically can, we're going to just subsequently turn more and more into it with more and more breaths. So we're gonna feel our right side abs, or the side abs that we're turning towards, engage a lot more the more we go through this. But the important thing is that we're keeping our rib cage down on that side, just like we said it at the beginning of the exercise. The most common mistake in this exercise is people are going to end up shrugging and or slouching. So we want to make sure we stay tall. We're not extending the ribs. We'll know we're in a good position if we can just keep the rib cage down, just as we said it at the beginning of the exercise. The other thing is that people will end up over-rotating through this, and their head will end up going with them. We want to dissociate the trunk from the head and vice versa, so make sure the head stays as realistically straightforward as it can throughout this.